Are you trying to decide between getting the PMP or the PMI ACP certification to level up your project management career? To make that decision, there's a couple of factors you should consider. In this video, we'll look at the key differences between the PMP and the PMI ACP. We're going to look at the current job market, and we're going to see why the industry context and your own personality really matters. Now, don't forget to subscribe, and let's get right into it. Let's start by looking at the experience required for each of those certifications. For the PMP, you need at least 3 to 5 years of experience in order to qualify, whereas with the PMI ACP, you need a minimum of 2 years of project management experience, which makes it a bit more suitable for when you're at an earlier stage of your career. Now, these two certifications also differ in their exam structure. The PMP is longer and more comprehensive. It's around 180 questions to be solved in 230 minutes, which is roughly 4 hours, whereas the PMI ACP is only 120 questions to be solved in 180 minutes, so in 3 hours. Now, the two certifications also differ in the exam focus. While the PMP is more focused on managing projects end-to-end, delivering, execution, and stakeholder management, it's basically covering project management very broadly and focuses both on agile and traditional methodologies. The PMI ACP, on the other hand, is really focused on agile methodologies and working in fast-changing environments, and is therefore covering agile project management more in depth. Now let's look at cost and preparation time for each of them. The PMP is generally more expensive, with the full price coming in at $655 at the moment, where people report that they typically need 3 to 6 months to prepare for it. And generally, it might be easier for people who are good at logic, math, and memorization, because the PMP does entail quite a lot of formulas and calculations. The PMI ACP, on the other hand, is a bit cheaper, with $495 at the full price, and can generally be prepared for within 1 to 3 months, depending on your agile experience. I'll also link a video up here where I talk about how I passed the PMI ACP within 3 weeks while working full-time. Now, we say this kind of exam is generally easier for people who are naturally good at soft skills, reading the room, and just understanding situational behavior. I know there's people who pass the PMP with flying colors and then really struggle with the PMI ACP, as well as the other way around. So I think it really largely depends on your own natural strengths. Now, when we take a look at the job market, for example, on LinkedIn job search, when I put project manager PMP worldwide, it gives me more than 100,000 results, while the project manager PMI ACP gives me back around 3,000 results. Now that means there are 33 times more job postings on LinkedIn mentioning the PMP as a nice to have or as a requirement compared to the PMI ACP. The numbers suggest that the PMP might increase your chances of getting an interview call, whereas the PMI ACP is also powerful, but more so in specialized agile environments. But keep in mind, even though the PMP has more job postings today, agile might become more valuable over time, with the enterprise agile transformation services market to grow from $41.2 billion in 2024 to $48.75 billion in 2025. Also, in times of AI and all these fast-changing technologies around us, agile is a really good methodology for companies to respond to those changes quickly, and therefore increases the demand for agile project managers in the job markets. Now finally, let's look at how the industry context and your own career goals actually affect your decision. Because which certification is better for you personally largely depends on the industry you want to work in, the role you want to work in, and what best fits your own personality. Often, industries that tend to ask more so for the PMP will be manufacturing, construction, government, and other more traditional industries. On the other hand, companies that will require the PMI ACP will more so be startups, tech companies, software as a service companies, and generally companies that focus on digital products. Finally, your personality really matters here too, because if you're someone who likes to be working in a really structured way, who likes a lot of detailed upfront planning, the PMP might suit you better. But if you're someone who likes to work in fast-changing environments, who's good at adapting to change and wants to work closely with other teams, then the PMI ACP might actually be the better choice. Now, my final verdict: to decide between those two certifications, you should really be clear about your eligibility for either of those certifications. You should be clear about what industry you want to work in, what kind of role, and what your career goals are, as well as what would better match your own personality. Now, if you have more time and money, you can of course also consider getting both of these certifications. For example, you could start with the PMP as the broad project management foundation, and then later add on the PMI ACP as a deep dive into the agile methodologies. If you want to get some tips on how I personally passed the PMI ACP exam in 3 weeks, watch my next video and I'll see you there.